guys, thank you for tuning into Amy's Crypt. I'm currently standing in front of a very haunted palace in Kota, India. I'm going to be spending the night here and conducting some paranormal investigations, and you guys will see that in my part 2 video. But for today, I'm going to tell you all about this place's ghost stories. We're going to do some exploring and I'll give you a really good tour of this place. The Brij Barwan Palace exists in Kota, India and dates back to the 1830s. It has been the scene of mutiny and murder, and is considered by many to be one of India's most haunted places. Alright guys, before we get off exploring the grounds of the palace, I want to take you inside the room that we're staying tonight. So guys, we just checked into our room and it is by far the nicest place that we have stayed in a very, very long time. The bed is huge, the bathroom is massive. This is like the biggest bathroom I've ever been in. It's got the toilet around here. I wonder what's out here actually. Another entry to the room. It's pretty cool. And this bath with all this. We did have a little friend in here with us.
Can see him? Is he there?
Yeah.
Ooh, there he goes. Where did he go? Did he just go behind
He went
there?
behind the curtains. Oh, he's up on the wall. Up.
Where?
Up.
Oh, there he goes, there he goes. Our little lizard friend.
Should you try and get him out? We haven't had a lizard in our room since we stayed in Honduras. Because it was in my shoe.
He nearly lost his life, that shoe on.
Yeah, I know. In this hotel, there's no specifically haunted rooms. It does have a resident ghost, and he's kind of spoken about all throughout the hotel, and there has been some people who have been overcome with certain feelings within inside the rooms, which is kind of cool. But it's mostly security that have said that there's a presence here. But it'll be interesting to try and reach out from this room tonight and see if we can make contact with our resident ghost. The study and some of the common areas of the hotel, our ghost has also been spotted. So we're going to be doing lots of exploring and just checking out different areas, seeing where we can investigate tonight. Definitely inside of the room, but hopefully there are some other places where we can try and reach out to. And the gardens here are not only magnificent, but they're also huge, so we have a lot of exploring to do. Okay, so that was inside room number 2, which is where we are spending the night tonight. We'll definitely be doing some investigations in there. Because the palace or the hotel, the grounds here are so large and they're beautiful and there's a lot to explore, I thought we'd go out and check it all out in the day, and I can tell you a bit about the ghost stories and whatnot. We've got the river just over here, and you can see a lot of the city of Kota as well on the other side of that. And if you come down here, there are so many birds here. You guys know I'm scared of birds. I encounter birds like almost every episode. At least these ones are far away. They're all just living on these trees in the middle of the river. Maybe they're mangroves or something. So in the garden, we're actually around the side of the hotel now because that's where our room is. And there's a few different layers to how it's set up as well. We have one area back here where we can't actually access because there is a royal family who actually lives here on the premises.
Are they royal? I don't know that they're royal.
I thought they were royal. I thought that I read they were royal though, but anyway, they supposedly live here on the premises somewhere, and there's certain parts that we can't access because it's their home, and I'm guessing that that is part of that, where it's like a part of their private garden where they come and sit and they've got the awesome view of all this. But we can access all this stuff here. It could be some kind of shed.
Garden shed?
Yeah, definitely. The gardens are very maintained and they have a lot of workers around, so I'm guessing they're constantly doing stuff. They would need somewhere to store all their tools and that. So those doorways are bricked in. It almost looks like out of a movie and you push a brick and it's like the secret wall that opens. Yes, this is all locked up. This is definitely a garden shed or something. but it could be quite old. So the palace was built around the time of the 1830s, and it was built for the British India Company, and they actually built it to be a British residence. So that's how it started its life before it kind of got turned into a hotel and a private residence that it is today. So one of the ghost stories that I'll be telling you a little bit about later is actually related to a British military officer who used to live here. I don't know if we're supposed to be in this area. I feel like when we checked in we didn't really get a rundown of you're allowed here, you're not allowed here, but I don't know, there's no signs, so we're just gonna walk through. Oh my god. Wow, those things are freaking cute. Alright guys, so we're right out front of the palace now, painted yellow, beautiful yellow. We're gonna walk around this part of the garden. We think that there's tennis courts here. Well, there's something out here, so. Right, so there's tennis courts here. I know nothing about tennis and I can't play any sport for the life of me. So we can't really tell you much about this. I don't think there's any ghost stories here at the tennis court, but just so you guys know, there's a tennis court here. What are you doing?
I use this to flatten the court.
What?
I use this to flatten the court.
What do you know about that? Is it heavy? There's peacocks out here. Some of them are a bit ugly. Like there's a brown one up there, but then I think it's the males, right? With the beautiful colours. I think peacocks might actually be native to India. We've seen quite a few since we've been here, like wild ones around as well. But I know that they do weddings and whatnot here when we drove in. Is that one in the tree? What? Can you see it?
Yeah.
I didn't know that they could like fly and climb up that.
Maybe it's stuck up there.
I don't know. They look too big to be in the tree, hey? They do weddings here. I seen it as we drove in. They had a big sign advertising that. So I don't know, maybe they use the peacocks in the weddings. It seems like something they would do. We are currently back in the hotel room that I am spending the night, and because it is nice and quiet, a little bit spooky in here, I thought it was a good spot to talk to you about the palace's resident ghost and why this place has been known as one of the most haunted places in India. So I believe I mentioned earlier that the palace was actually built at the start of the 1830s, and it was built as a home for British officials here in India. And one of the people that lived here in the house was a man named Major Charles Burton, and he lived here for quite a long time with his family. It was about 13 years, I believe. However, in 1857 there was a big Indian mutiny and the house actually came under siege. This saw Major Charles Burton and his two sons locked up in a room upstairs, trying to hide away and just wait out the siege, though they were eventually captured, and Major Charles Burton and both of his sons were murdered here. After his death, there started to be a lot of rumours from people visiting or staying here at the palace that believed Major Charles Burton was still here haunting the property. People have claimed to see Charles Burton's apparition all throughout the palace and even in the gardens. One of the most famed stories of his hauntings is actually that he sticks around to protect the palace, and he's even been known to pick on the security guards. They tell stories that they will hear disembodied voices speaking in English with a British accent, and usually it is when they fall asleep or they're slacking off and having a smoke, they'll hear a British accent tell them to wake up or stop smoking. So it seems like he is still at his home giving orders to people who are supposed to be protecting and looking after the property. Finally, there has been a lot of guests who haven't so much seen or interacted with his apparition, but have reported to enter various parts of the property, inside and outside of the palace, and just felt a sudden, overwhelming discomfort that they couldn't quite describe, or they couldn't quite explain why they were feeling that or why it was happening to them. So it's definitely a lot of interesting activity that goes on here, and definitely makes sense as to why people say that this is one of the most haunted places in India. So it's pretty much a good rundown of the ghost story. There only appears to be one resident ghost here. I will be trying some paranormal investigation experiments throughout the property, particularly in this room, but also in the main palace areas, and probably around the gardens as well. See if we can pick up or interact with the spirit of Charles Burton. Should be an interesting night. Alright guys, so we're just enjoying a really lovely sunset behind me, waiting to lose light, but before we do, we're going to head into the main part of the palace. Unfortunately, I stepped in a big bit of poo earlier, so I stink, and I feel bad. I've just scrubbed my shoe the best as I can, but now I'm going to go walk around inside the palace with all the fancy people. So this is the main dining room in the palace. It is Christmas when we visited, so it's got some decorations up. And this is one of the places where our ghost apparition has been seen. Alright, so the room that we're in, guys, is like the main sitting room once you walk through the front door into the palace, and you can see it's quite an important spot. They've got so many photographs of people, all like dignitaries and that have visited, and a lot of them have been signed as well, so I'm not quite sure who they are, but important people have passed through here. So it's also another one of the areas where our ghost has been seen. Alright guys, we are in the main sitting room of the palace, and our hosts have been good enough to let us sit in here and conduct a quick spirit box session. So we're going to try and reach out to our ghost, who is Major Charles Burton, and see if we can get him to talk through the spirit box. What is cool is because he is British, he speaks English, and I can actually reach out in English. Hi, my name is Amy. Are there any spirits in this room that want to talk to me? Major Charles Burton, are you here? How long did you live at the palace for? What happened to you here? Can you tell me the name of your sons? Is this a happy place for you? How did you die?
Thought I heard Amy then.
Huh?
Thought I heard Amy.
My name? You always say my name. Okay, so I heard some voices come through. I didn't get any distinct words that were in English or that sounded British even. But a lot of the times when I do these sessions, I miss words in the moment, even though I'm really intently listening to it. So it's always good to review these things after and see if we're able to pick anything up. Oh my god. Our ghost apparition has been seen. Can you come close to me?
That is insane.
Charles, can you grow this flame? It's like a scratching noise.
Careful, Ames. What's he doing? Hey.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Remember, I have my part 2 video coming very soon where we do a full nighttime paranormal investigation of this location. If you want to check out any writing I've done on the haunted places I have visited, head to amyscrypt.com. Until next time,